ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a horror film from 1985. That movie is Return of the Living Dead. And this is a little bit of an odd one for me, folks, because, you see, I have always prided myself on saying that I've at least watched one movie from every long-running horror franchise out there. Unfortunately, the one franchise I've never had the chance to even look at is this one. I've never gotten to see a single Return of the Living Dead movie in my entire life. I have always wanted to give these movies a shot, and when I found the first one at Walmart on Blu-ray for $5, I absolutely needed it. I needed it right that second, and I needed to find a spot on the schedule for this show to watch it, because I'm going to make my first experience with the Return of the Living Dead franchise as public as I can possibly make it. I have no idea if this thing is going to be any good at all. I've had some people inform me that at least the first one is less a horror movie and more of a horror comedy, which sounds awesome to me because I love horror comedies. But honestly, I have no fucking clue. I have absolutely no idea. The only thing I can tell you about this movie that I know going in is it has zombies. Like, that's literally all the detail I know. I'm certainly hoping for this movie to be, good, but the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Return of the Living Dead. So, the first real zombie we get to see is a half a dog panting and moving, and good God, that is probably one of the most disgusting things I've seen in a long time. The effect was done incredibly well. I feel like I'm going to be kind of sick. Alright, I just gotta say this right now. I really don't get this group of friends, okay? Normally, guys, in these sorts of movies, a group is very, very similar in look and appearance, especially in these cheesy 80s films. Why the hell do we have one biker punk who's covered in chains and spikes, two people who look kind of sort of preppy-ish, one guy who's decked out in camo and a cut-off shirt, some chick who looked kind of sort of like a punk and then stripped nude, I don't think she's gotten dressed yet, and just another woman who just looks like a random punk. Like, what the fuck do any of these people have in common? Like, I honestly am kind of curious exactly how this fucking ragtag bunch of dipshits all kind of got together and became friends, because almost none of them seem to have any real common, connection. I'm sorry, guys, I'm just kind of thrown off by that. I'm really curious, because I just don't see this group normally hanging out, much less just waiting in a cemetery for their other friend who looks more normal than any of them do. It's just weird, okay? I would really like to know the story behind how all these people came together and apparently regularly hang out and party. I am really curious. Guys, I can at least say this much. The soundtrack to this movie's fucking awesome. And the makeup effects on all of these zombies is also just fucking amazing. I am really digging the overall look of this movie. I really, really am, man. This thing is fucking awesome. So let me see if I understand this. So, the naked, redheaded chick, even though she was, ganged up by, a bunch of zombies and, we were led to believe that she was ripped to pieces, now she's turned into one of them, doesn't have a mark on her body, and she just ate a homeless dude. Okay. Alright, that is totally cool. I am willing to let that go. I'm just wondering, because they spend so much time with, just showing all the damage that these fucking things cause. And if you get even so much as a scratch, the makeup artist makes it all real noticeable. Yet, she doesn't have a mark on her body, and believe me, you can tell she's fucking naked. You would see a mark. You would see like a claw mark, a bite mark, like a missing chunk of scalp. No, nothing. Apparently they just smothered her to death and didn't feast on her brains. I am not going. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to roll with it. But it does seem just a little bit weird. Well, guys, that was Return of the Living Dead. Let me shut that off and, wow, I think the place to start is with the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending. I really don't want to spoil the ending to this one for you guys, but allow me to just say, I've seen a lot of zombie films which have somewhat dark endings. This could very well be one of the darkest endings I've seen on a zombie film in a long time. I'm just gonna put that out there. It probably comes off as dark as it does because of the fact that this is a horror comedy at its core. So you'd think there might be a bit more of like a happy, fun kind of ending, and then the ending happens and you're just sort of left going, holy shit, that's bleak. And mind you now, that is not a bad thing. I just want to warn you guys before those of you who, like me, had never seen any of the Return of the Living Dead films. The ending here is ridiculously bleak, and it's sort of cool. Alright, so now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about the film itself. Let's talk about the writing. The writing here is incredibly good. I will say that as much as this is trying to be a horror comedy, specifically a zombie comedy, one thing that is kind of lacking is humor. Now, there are certainly funny moments and funny scenes, but this isn't like something like, say, Fido or Shaun of the Dead, where it's trying to balance the horror and the comedy evenly, maybe perhaps leaning a bit more towards the comedy. No, this sucker is a full-blown zombie horror film, which just happens to have a couple of funny bits in it. Really good funny bits, mind you, but it would be difficult for me to really classify this as a horror comedy because there's just not enough comedy there. That, honestly, though, is just my thoughts on it. I just wanted to touch on the whole genre thing because, people sometimes get kind of bent out of shape over genre. I don't really know why. Anyway, moving on to the film itself. Our characters are very, very interesting. I'm still trying to figure out how in the hell this group of friends, who basically cover almost every 80s cliche you could ever imagine, were ever became friends. I would love to see a prequel, how, Scuzz and the rest of these guys all became buddies, because that, I think, would make for a rather fascinating film. How did all of these cliches all come together? It really was. That really was something that I was kind of wondering, and then the rest of our cast are just fascinating. What I really love about this movie, one thing I absolutely adored about this movie that you don't see in a lot of other zombie films, is the disturbing amount of intelligence that these zombies have. Because even, guys, movies which have shitty kind of sort of wannabe infected people, which are just zombies with a, fucking stupid name, they still are like mindless beasts who just want to kill. The zombies in this movie are not only able to think, they can also talk. And I'm not talking about speaking in like broken fucking sentences or just, like trundling around going brains. Even though there is some of that, they are able to form entire sentences. Our heroes, I guess I can call them our heroes. At one point, they have this like half a zombie, which is still alive and kicking, because these zombies there is no way to kill them outside of setting them on fire. So they basically strap down this like female zombie torso, and the zombie explains why these zombies feast on brains. It's a really fascinating thing, and that zombie is not the only one who's able to form complete fucking sentences. The big reason why there are so many people in this town or rather in this area for the zombies to feed on is because when the paramedics show up, the zombies eat the fucking paramedics, and then they go to the radio and they're like, send more paramedics. Then the cops show up, zombies eat the fucking cops. One of them then gets on the radio in the cruiser, send more cops. We have one zombie kind of sort of like the patient fucking zero of this film. I really don't want to go into a whole lot of detail because that would spoil a lot of the interesting shit that goes on in here. This zombie is able to use tools and shit, which is cool because one of our characters tries to hide from the zombie by basically locking herself in a small locker. The zombie then takes a chain, wraps it around the handles of the fucking door and wenches the door open. It's awesome. It really is. So we have probably the smartest zombies these are definitely the smartest zombies that I've ever seen in fiction. They are able to talk, they are able to use tools, and you can't kill them by, common zombie means, which means that if you, chop off their head or you, blow up their fucking brain, the body is still able to move. There's just tons of details. This thing took zombie, lore into a slightly different direction, and I fucking loved it. It is one of the most unique takes on zombies I have ever seen. It's honestly one of the most entertaining takes on zombie lore I have ever seen. Our characters, outside of our big batch of friends being just a big mountain of fucking cliches, at least they're likable cliches. There honestly isn't a single one amongst them who you're gonna look at and go, I really don't like this one. They all actually have enough personality where you're going to care about them, you're actually going to like them a little bit. And, that is something that is always good to have, is you want your characters to have, personality, even if most of them are going to wind up essentially being zombie fucking chow. It would help if that zombie chow had a little bit of personality before the zombies feast, you know what I mean? I mean, that is just my take on it. Characters here are really good. The story here does not fucking let up. Our pacing here is fantastic. Guys, writing here is awesome, and it really makes me want to watch the fucking sequels now, just because I'm hoping for the writing to be as strong in the sequels. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the acting. The acting here is really solid. Again, we have this bunch of characters who are, I honestly don't even remember their names, outside of the fact that a lot of them have got names like Scuzz and all that shit. I believe that Scuzz was the biker dude in the leather jacket with all the spikes and shit. I could be totally fucking wrong. So while all these characters all had almost no real personality outside of, this one here is kind of sort of a prep, and this one over here is a biker, and this one's got fiery red hair and loves to talk about death and strep. The actors are able to take these characters, as seemingly shallow as they kind of are, and they're able to do awesome things with them. I mean, one member of this group can essentially be summed up as a very loud, very angry black guy, and the dude who plays him does a fantastic job with the character. He actually is able to inject life into him. Our entire cast, including our mountain of zombies, all do a fantastic job. Now, part of that is because this is one of the few zombie films where the zombies are actually expected to act. We have zombies who speak. And once more, that is not really normal in zombie fiction. And these actors did a great job with the, zombies. So guys, acting here is fantastic. I really am trying to think if there was anybody who sort of dropped the fucking ball. There is one. Early on, there are these two characters, and they do play a rather pivotal role in the film. One of them is having a coughing fit because they both kind of breathed in some nasty fucking gases and all this other fun stuff. His coughing fit is probably about the fakest I've ever seen on camera, second only to those two annoying kids in that one scene in Redneck fucking Zombies where they have to, it fucking boils down to coughing. And in that movie, those two kids, they really sucked at making that cough work. Here, this guy, whose acting was great in every other thing he did in this film, when he is expected to cough, instead of him actually trying to make it seem like realistic, he just sits there. No, that is fucking wrong. I'm putting even more effort into that cough than he did in his. But that's like one scene. It's a coughing fit that lasts probably about a minute. And it really sucks. It fucking does. But it's not something which is going to break the movie. It's just gonna make that one scene a little bit irritating to watch. So yeah, guys, acting here is really solid. Special effects, let's talk about special effects. Special effects in this movie are fucking amazing. Mostly. Allow me to explain. So we have certain zombies which have got a mountain of makeup on them and they look awesome. In certain cases, our zombies are puppets, and the puppet work is amazing, and all of that looks awesome. We have our zombie in the basement who's black and slimy, and he's got fucking like bits of his friggin' he has like bits of his like skeleton showing, and his head is mostly just a skull, and as long as he doesn't turn his head down as he talks, you won't be able to see the actual set of teeth the actor has behind the fake teeth that are on his skull face mask. All of that looks awesome, but then for the rest of our 100 zombies, they're just people covered in mud. Like, there is no real attempt to make them look like they're, you know, like to make them look like they've like decomposed or rotted away or any of that. However though, because the main focus is on people who actually have makeup put on, it works. And so basically, when you see like a crowd of like 35 zombies, like you might see makeup on like the 4 of them up front, and then everyone else behind them are just people covered in fucking mud, and it looks kind of cheap. However, though, you're going to be focused on those 4 up front who have the awesome makeup put on. So, as much as I'd love to complain about the lack of zombie fucking makeup, I also have to understand that they played up the fact that there's 100 zombies in this movie quite often, and there's no way in hell you're gonna get 100 actors all covered in zombie makeup. You do have to cut corners somewhere. So all of them that get a big focus are just gonna get caked with zombie makeup. Everyone else is gonna get covered in mud, except for the one redhead who stripped early on. All they did was they covered her in white fucking grease paint, and that was it. So, and it still kind of worked because she still looks like a fucking zombie, so it totally works. Special effects beyond that, in terms of things like blood and gore and all that, looks awesome. Guys, I'm going to tell you, when this movie actually wants to, special effects look fucking amazing, and I could probably praise the special effects in this movie all day. I still happen to remember the very first zombie we see is a half a fucking dog. I guess I can explain at least this much. One of the primary settings of this film is a medical supply warehouse, and they have like half, you know, animals which they sell to veterinary clinics. So it's literally like the left half of a fucking dog, so that way then you can see all the organs and the brain and everything. That thing is the first zombie we see, and it looks ridiculously creepy because the puppet work was that fucking good. And everything else here in terms of special effects, once more, when they don't have to show a bunch of zombies and essentially just spray a ton of them with fucking mud, special effects are awesome. Let's see. Our soundtrack's fucking awesome. I'm gonna have to go and download the soundtrack to this because a lot of it is just amazing 80s cheesy like rock and pop kind of stuff, and I absolutely adore that shit. So yeah, guys, the soundtrack here is awesome. Our score here is really good. Our camera work is fine as long as the camera isn't like jostling as it's moving. Because once more, one of the main locations is this medical supply warehouse, and as one of the characters is being given a tour, the camera has to like move between all the aisles, and you can see the camera almost almost fucking like wiggle as it's like moving from one aisle to another. It was not the steadiest of panning shots. However, though, like those sorts of shots maybe happen 3 times across the entire fucking movie. So I'm really bitching about nothing, and it's something that you almost have to be looking for, otherwise you're not going to notice it. But I did notice it, and I do feel the urge to mention it. Most people are not going to notice it, though, so who fucking cares? Lighting here is awesome. The sound mix here is great. I really love how they digitally fucked with the zombie voices to make them sound a bit more evil and dark and dead and zombie-ish. That was fucking awesome. Guys, when all is said and done, can I recommend Return of the Living Dead? Yes, I totally fucking can. This thing here has rocketed up to be probably one of my favorite zombie films of all time, which means that it joins things such as the original Dawn of the Dead, the Evil Dead. Let's see here, Fido and Shaun of the Dead and Cockneys versus Zombies. This sucker joins those and many other awesome zombie films on my list of all-time favorites. This sucker is totally worth owning. The very fact that you can buy it on Blu-ray right now for about $5 to $10 means it's absolutely worth every fucking cent. I can totally recommend this thing. If you have not seen it, you totally have to. I don't know if this is on Netflix or Hulu or any of that shit. If it is, by all means, watch it, and if it's not, then run out and fucking buy it. It is totally worth the purchase price. Now, I feel like watching me some more fucking zombie films, and I know I've got a bunch in my Blu-ray collection. I just need to go and find a couple, sit back, and totally enjoy myself. Not quite sure which one I'm going to watch, but I will make that. I will make that decision when I get over there. So, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.